What separates weapon arts that work versus ones that don't? We're going to use HEMA as a little bit of a case study at the beginning of this discussion, but you can see that it went from looking like this to looking like this over the course of just a few short years.
With the distance management. One was afraid to say something, to not say it in the middle of the exchange. Ooh, that was...
One of the key differences is a non-denominational idea. It doesn't belong to any one martial art, but it's the idea of distance and preparation. At the opening phase of combat, the opponents need to measure each other out at a wide distance so they can probe and see what the other person's likes, dislikes are, their strengths and their weaknesses. And if that period is rushed, what ends up happening is a lot of doubles, a lot of clashing, and it looks like people are trying to execute techniques without understanding how to use them. We're going to use an example here from Kung Fu.
Okay.
So these two students, while they may be really good at forms or they may have learned or memorized a lot of the technical skills from Kung Fu, they're having a hard time applying it in the scenario because there's too many variables that they're not used to. They're used to a preset pattern. And this is not to knock Kung Fu. Kung Fu can be awesome. If you take a look at this traditional spear fighting, it looks a lot like fencing and it's incredibly effective. What you see is instead of this eyes closed fencing, you see something called open-eyed fencing. In closed-eyed fencing, it's like throwing a combo in boxing that's preset, and you're not going to change what you're doing throughout the course. You've already decided the outcome. It's a little bit like rolling a dice. Open-eye fencing is almost the opposite. It's like cheating when you're playing dice, where you see what number it rolls on, and then you call out the number afterwards. So the main takeaway is that you need to change what you're doing in the process of it. It's not something you've decided. It's something that the interaction between you and your opponent decides, and then you choose at the last moment. The key is to use that preparation time to gain information on your opponent. It's not that people are just more athletic. It's not that they're just sparring. It's that there are conscious tactics, and you've created an environment where this kind of stuff can sort itself out. So a few things to remember: if you are transitioning from a traditional style where you maybe didn't spar too much or there wasn't a lot of competition, how do you make it work? Well, it's through the same principles that you see across different weapon arts that maybe have done that for a long time. And most of that is distance, preparation, and then being aware of what's happening and making decisions. Through forms, you cannot learn to make decisions and you're not reacting to what the other person does. Instead, you need to program cues and triggers so that if somebody enters a certain position, you have the response and you know how to probe for that and figure out what they're like outside of distance.